Uncharted is a movie that is real. It happened. It's finally here. An actual Uncharted movie is finally here. Wow. I never thought I'd see the day where Uncharted would hit the big screens. Because this movie has been in development hell for God knows how long. Because this movie has been passed down from director to director to director to director for years now. There was even a point where Mark Wahlberg was going to play Nathan Drake. But then the announcement came out that the director of Zombieland and Venom is attached to direct, and we have the casting of Tom Holland as a young Nathan Drake and Mark Wahlberg playing a young Sully, and it's the story of Nathan Drake and Sully meeting for the first time and establishing their relationship that we all know and love in the video games, and how Nathan Drake became the adventure hero that we all know and love. So, before I jump into my thoughts on the movie, I just want to say I'm a very casual fan when it comes to the Uncharted franchise, because I've spent many hours playing these games. I'm a fan of these games myself, and this movie had two different expectations to live up to. It had high expectations for game fans and for fans of the game series, and then it had a lower expectations for critics and audiences because video game movies haven't got the best representation over the past 10 years or so. But the biggest question is, does Uncharted live up to the brand Uncharted? Does it live up to gamers' expectations? Well, let's get into it. So, this was a movie I went into. I didn't want to get myself too hyped up going into this movie. I'm not a fanatic of this franchise. I don't know, every side story. I don't know all of the lore in this franchise. Like I said, I'm a very casual fan, so I went in it with very casual but high expectations that I wanted to be met. And for the most part, this movie met my expectations. So, getting into it, this is definitely, right from the start, this is definitely one of the better video game to movie adaptations that we've had in past years, for sure. So where to begin? Tom Holland as Nathan Drake. Since a lot of people are going to be going to this movie wanting to see Tom Holland, he's definitely going to be the standout here for everyone, just coming off a very successful last film, Spider-Man No Way Home, which is, I believe, currently at the #1 place in the box office. A lot of Spider-Man fans are going to be coming to this movie to see Tom Holland play the role of Nathan Drake, and he's definitely going to be the one that everyone's going to be talking about when they leave the theatre, because he has a lot of screen time in this movie. He's our main character, and he does a really good job as the role of a young Nathan Drake. As this movie went along, I did buy him as Nathan Drake. When this movie started, I was a bit iffy to see where his version of Nathan Drake was going to go, but then as they went on this adventure with Sully and with Chloe, I slowly kind of fell into his Nathan Drake, and he does give off a very believable performance and portrayal of a young Nathan Drake, and the stunt work in this movie is insane. There's a lot of impressive stunt work done in this film. My favorite stunt of the movie easily, and favorite action sequence of the film by a long shot, is the plane sequence that was hinted at in the trailer. It's also the way the movie opens as well, which I thought was a very odd opening, and then it cuts 15 years earlier where we see Nathan Drake even younger, and then we cut to present day where Nathan Drake is a bartender. And that's the thing I really liked about this movie, is Nathan Drake. We see him start off just at his casual job and just being a casual human being, and he slowly transforms into this adventure hero that we all know and love. And I really dug that about this movie. I love that transition from him just being, I guess, being this like this skilled bartender, but you don't really learn much else about him besides that. And then he meets Sully at the bar, and then that's when they start forming this relationship. And the chemistry between Nathan Drake and Sully in this movie is definitely going to be another huge highlight for audiences, because their chemistry, like on screen, is explosive. They do a great job delivering their lines and just working together. Like every scene that Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg are in, they chew up every moment that they have in this movie, because like Sully in this, he's this very snarky douchebag character. He's very greedy to a degree. He wants to find the gold and take the gold for himself, and you find out that he's actually worked with Sam, which is Nathan Drake's brother, and he knows something about that. And just I really loved that about Sully in this film, is you see their relationship start off on not the best of ends, and then by the end of the movie they've formed this friendship, because there's this one moment at the end which I really liked, where it's a live or death situation for Nathan Drake, and so Sully has to make the decision whether to give up this item or to let Nathan Drake live. And so there's this very controversial choice in his head, whether to take what he's been looking for years, or to see someone that he's been working with die in front of him. And so that was really the moment where their friendship really, I guess, really came together, and we really saw that, like at least a hint of that Nathan Drake and Sully relationship that we know in the games. And speaking of that, there's an after credit scene in this movie where you get to see a very familiar look for Sully. You get to see the iconic, like mustache and cigar smoking, like snarky pervert character Sully that we know in the games. There's a really cool after credit scene, so yeah, stay for the credits. You won't be disappointed. And this movie, it definitely sets up for an Uncharted 2 and an Uncharted 3 and an entire franchise if they want to go on doing that. And I would be keen to see sequels to this movie, because this movie leaves on a very promising note where we get to see, we get to see the next chapter, the next adventure from Nathan Drake and Sully. And I really liked that. And I really liked the airplane sequence in this film, because that is right out of Uncharted 3. Because this is a movie that takes little bits and pieces from almost every single Uncharted game, like the young Nathan Drake and young Sully story we've seen, flashbacks and little moments of in Uncharted 4 at Thief's End. So yeah, this movie has a bit of everything from the game franchise, but I feel like the way they did it, and this movie has the structure of a great video game movie, because you can tell this movie is definitely structured to be a video game movie, because you can definitely tell which moments are supposed to be cutscenes, which scenes you're supposed to be kind of playing this character. And that's what I really liked, is it actually feels like you're playing an Uncharted game. And that's what I really enjoyed that about this movie, is that because most video game movies can't capture that charm or that structure of what makes a video game movie. And I thought that was something that this movie did really well. And the pacing of this movie is really fast. This movie is 2 hours exact, and it goes by like that. Like, there are a few moments towards the end of the second act that I thought was slow, but then it picks up immediately. And this is a movie that's always making progression. These characters are always continuing further and further into what they have to find. And just that's what I liked. Is there's those little side missions in here. There's those little side missions in here that are in the Uncharted games, and there's a lot of familiar material and structure that if you're an Uncharted fan, you will appreciate that in this movie. And there's a lot of twists and turns, and there's a lot of backstabbing in this movie. The villain in this movie, he definitely has the right motive of an Uncharted villain, so I appreciated that. And as far as our eventual villain that's revealed about, I guess the final 20 to half an hour of this movie, this character felt more of a side character. I felt like her character would have worked better as a side character than the main villain of the film, but like, I thought she did a really good job. The movie's highly entertaining. The movie has very familiar themes from all your great treasure hunting films, from Indiana Jones to National Treasure to Tomb Raider. There's a lot of familiarities to those movies. I cannot speak. But this movie, I feel like it separates itself enough to be compared to those movies, but for it to stand on its own. So yeah, like, at the end of the day, I really enjoyed Uncharted. This is a movie I cannot wait to go back and watch a second time, because this movie, as soon as I got home, like, I put in Uncharted and I played that shit. This movie got me in the mood to go back and play the Uncharted games again, so yeah, good job to you, movie. And this is a movie that's been very, divided on the fan base, on what people actually think of this movie. I'm curious to know what you guys do think of this movie, because this movie's been very hit or miss. Like, some people really like it, some people think it's okay, and then some people really don't like it. I'm curious to know what you guys think about this new Uncharted movie. So anyways, guys, yeah, that is my review for Uncharted. If you have seen Uncharted, let me know down in the comments, what did you think of it? Did you like it? Did you think it was meh, or did you really not like it? Let me know all your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section down below. So anyways, guys, hope you have a good rest of your day, evening, or night, wherever you are, and I will see you in the next video. Alright, bye.